Hello and welcome to ATV special program. In today's episode, I met Asqual Teferi. She is a communication director of Ethiopian American Civic Council. She was living at United States of America in California. Now she's here in Addis Ababa. We are going to ask her why she came here. Thank you very much, first of all, for coming here in Addis, as well for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Addis. I appreciate it, and I'm very happy to be in Addis Ababa.
Right, Asqual. First of all, can you hear from you the objective of your tour, why you came to Addis?
Well, I was born and raised here. Well, we planned to come to visit. My daughter graduated from college, and so she said, Mom, the gift would be I want to go to Ethiopia. Addis Ababa, above and beyond anywhere else. So, and we also sponsor IDP and some victims of rape in Shawarobit area. There's a big camp that we've sponsored. So I came to visit that as well and just visit my country and enjoy for a little vacation.
All right, as Ethiopian American Civic Council, you have been undertaking several activities, especially in terms of safeguarding the interests of Ethiopia. Can I hear from you what are basic accomplishments you have been doing so far?
Yes, Ethiopian American Civic Council, the chairperson is Director Teferi. He started the EACC, we call it EACC group, the council, 6 years ago during the killing at the Erecha. During TPLF, there was a massacre at Erecha, and he literally began this organization back then. So we happen to be a pioneer in advocacy. We were one of the most original. There are a lot of them now, new ones after the war. But we started the movement 6 years ago. I became active just since the start of the war, really. But Deacon Yosef and his group has been working in EACC for a while. The first greatest accomplishment he did was passing the resolution called HR 128. HR 128 passed in 2018 with 100% support of the Congress, meaning the House of Representatives. It didn't go up to the Senate. And basically what that bill does is very significant, by the way. I mean, no other diaspora group in America has passed such a resolution within the Congress like this one. So what HR 128 did is it was like a sanction against TPLF for human rights abuse. So and then he worked together with the Amhara groups and the Oromo groups together, different organization, to pass that bill. That was where it started. After that, I think it led to the demise of TPLF. And after that, after the war, we were the first nonprofit organization that hired lobbyists on our own. Why did we hire lobbyists? Because we needed to fight the sanction against Ethiopia. And because TPLF has over $40 billion, right before even they started the war, they hired a lobbyist. And I believe some of the senators and New York Times and CNN have been compromised by TPLF, meaning that they've actually paid them money and compromised them. So we needed to hire the lobbyists, so that's what we did. And we were very successful in having the Congress actually suspend HR 6600. I think we've talked to you about that in detail, as well as a resolution, Senate Resolution 3199, which would have debilitated Ethiopia. So we were very effective in galvanizing the community. We have over 750,000 supporters, not members, but supporters that galvanized. We wrote, and in fact, one of the other accomplishments that Deacon Yosef did was he galvanized support for the GERD, and Reverend Jesse Jackson, the most influential African American, had the entire Black Caucus sign off to support Ethiopia on the GERD. And so those are the earlier accomplishments. The first one is HR 128. The second one is galvanizing support. We had over 300,000 signatures by Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Black Caucus to support the GERD. And then, of course, now hiring lobbyists and suspending HR 6600 and S 3199.
First of all, I would like to appreciate for your service, especially what Deacon Yusuf has done so far is very appreciable, as well you, Asqual Teferi, his sister, and everybody around you, because I was interviewing Deacon Yusuf during the conflict time, and I was talking personally with you. So you have been doing several activities, especially to safeguard the interest of Ethiopia. This is something appreciable. All right, so in the future, what are you planning to do to further bolster or strengthen, especially the diplomatic ties between Ethiopia and America?
Well, that's good. We're very happy about the peace that just happened because war is destructive. You can't lose your youth because the young generation is the future generation. And if you lose your young generation in war, who's going to build a country? So war is devastating. It has cascading effect. Now there's peace. We need, I think our efforts would be, and I think what the Ethiopian American Civic Council should focus on in the future, in my view, would be to help in the peace and reconciliation. One of the drivers that Deacon Yosef talks a lot about is dismantling the ethnic federalism. And for example, we are actually the only country or one other country that has this kind of constitution. And South Africa, Nigerians tried it, for example, it didn't work. They banned it. Rwanda banned it totally. Why? There's a slogan that Deacon Yosef always talks about. It's called Sayatafan Yibkan, meaning let us get rid of it before it destroys us and eats us within. And so that's the focus that he wants to pursue, some kind of peace and reconciliation within the concept of getting rid of ethnic federalism. That's the effort. And also rehabilitating. There's a lot of hospitals that are destroyed. I think part of our organization, Unity for Ethiopia, for example, supports the military, people that have been devastated by the war, just supporting the Ethiopian military in terms of, people that have suffered in the war and are injured, resuscitating them back to life, things like that. I personally support the IDP in Debre Birhan. In fact, I was there the whole day yesterday with Asrat Foundation, Dr. Walansa Asrat. There's 5 of us, support 25 rape victims. One of them, in fact, told us a story that I couldn't even sleep last night. She had the TPLF soldier, she was a captive, like a slave, and she almost died. So she came, finally they left her, and her husband works in Saudi Arabia and he divorced her. She has a son, 4-year-old. There's about 25 young women like that we're currently sponsoring, and we gave shelter, as well as we want them to start domestic industry, like produce something, be economically independent. So we're helping them. There's about other 14 students at Lij Hailemariam Mamo School that we're supporting. So I went with my family and visited the IDP. In one small IDP, there's about 187 people sleeping together. So there's a lot of work, and I think we're going to focus more on the humanitarian and the reconciliation, peace and reconciliation process.
What about in terms of further strengthening the relationship between Ethiopia and America, with Biden administration especially?
Yeah, we're working towards that actively. In fact, we are bipartisan, meaning, for example, during this last election, we picked people from both parties. You cannot be one party. I know there are a lot of Ethiopians right now pushing the ideology of just being one party. Let's support Republicans, let's not support Democrats, because the Biden administration and Democrats did so much damage to Ethiopia. But hold on, if you're just only one party, you're going to be like Cuban Americans. You're stuck. So what you want to do is strategic. Be strategic. Support both parties, so long as they support the interest of Ethiopia. Here's what we did. we galvanized the community to get rid of Malinowski. Remember who that guy was? And so he wrote that draconian bill, HR 6600, or I think, yeah, he sponsored HR 66 or S 3199, one of them, I don't recall. So Malinowski was the chief author of that. He's elected out of office. Next thing we did, we supported enough congressmen in the House of Representatives that the Republicans took over and won, which means the Democrats are not longer the majority in the House of Representatives. What did that do? The chair of the Africa Committee now is Representative Chris Smith. Who's Chris Smith? He's the one that helped us pass HR 128. Who's Chris Smith? As a chairperson of Africa Subcommittee, nothing passes without passing through him. That is a very effective, this is a very effective political move for Ethiopia that I have ever witnessed. Even if I prayed to get the best result, this would be the most best result outcome that I would ever anticipate would happen to us. And it's strategic. You have to be strategic. So with Chris Smith in power as a chairperson, you don't have Karen Bass. So Gregory Meeks, he's African American, but he damaged Ethiopia so bad. And so I think these people were compromised by TPLF early on. So now we have Chris Smith in the House of Representatives. So that's the greatest victory. What will that do? It will help strengthen the relationship between Ethiopia and the Biden administration, which I think is key.
Now, at the verge of the peace agreement is already signed between TPLF and the Ethiopian government. Now we are breathing a kind of peace around Ethiopia. That's something good. But there are several infrastructures which are damaged as a result of the conflict. Hospitals in Amhara, Afar, as well Tigray regions. So to reconstruct all these facilities, it demands a big amount of money, right? So what is expected from international communities, international donors, stakeholders, even international countries, in a bid to help and assist the Ethiopian government? Because it is something not achievable by only force of the Ethiopian government. What do you suggest?
Yeah, well, you're asking me what would be the diaspora's role in reconstructing the, it takes almost billions of dollars to reconstruct back what was lost through the war in Amhara and Afar regions, as well as the Tigray regions, as you said. So the role of the diaspora is essential, but first of all, we always have to do some communication strategy in order to, our image and likeness basically in the world stage, because of CNN, New York Times, that the TPLF bought, they have ruined our reputation literally in the world stage. I mean, when somebody talks about the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, they don't talk that he was elected democratically. I mean, why wouldn't democratic countries support this? We were struggling to really understand what's the Biden administration doing. So the first part of reconstruction would be, we need to improve our image in the world stage so that more donors will be engaged. Right now, they're thinking that we occupied Tigray and we are doing genocide in Tigray. That's the message out there. We need to cure that. So a lot of countries, for example, will do an advertisement, let's say on CNN, or some communication strategy. People go to Mekelle and showcase that we're giving food, medical aid. We're trying to reestablish service, internet, and everything. They write about that still a lot. Still, things are not done in Tigray. So let's have a show, so to say. That's a communication show, and let's send that to CNN. Even if we have to pay a little bit more money, showcase. The Prime Minister can go into Mekelle and have people line up with flowers and let him go to the hospitals and let him show that indeed he cares about Mekelle. That is a key work we have to do, communication work. Once we establish our image and likeness to the world, because you probably don't see it, but we see it over there, it's very negative. So once that's done, I think the diaspora will be engaged in supporting, not only just the diaspora, but international communities will be able to come in and support. Once they know there's peace, once they know Mekelle is in the good hands of the Prime Minister, so forth and so on. In terms of the diaspora being active, I can't speak for everyone, but I can tell you objectively that after the killing, literally last year after the prisoners were released and after the Onagshane massacre of 1,500 or so, the diaspora is really hurt right now. So there's a sense of hopelessness, there's a sense of sorrow for the people that are dying by Onagshane's hand. If we can show that we have actually brought those people to justice, we've done some measure to have compassion for the dead, compassion for the displaced, about 2 million people, I don't know how many there are, compassion and some sort of help just to stop the killing, really. If that happens, I think the diaspora will be engaged. But if that doesn't happen, the diaspora is extremely disappointed right now. But I think we have to bring healing, People are excited about peace, and prosperity is important. People need to prosper. But in order to do that, you need to clean up the image. You need to showcase that you care, both for the displaced, the people that are being killed, and also showcase you're doing good work in Mekelle. It helps both the international community and the diaspora. That is.
That's great. Okay, thank you very much. Finally, how do you see Addis Ababa? Because I think it has been a long time for you since you came here. So your observation, weather, food, anything?
Well, when I came, I thought I was in other English-speaking country, let's say that. Most of the buildings are transformed into being written in English language. You go into a restaurant, you sit down, you're reading in English, and my daughter said, "Where are we, Mom?" And so there's been a lot of great amount of development. I really like the spirit of Addis and just a bustling city. I can't imagine the amount of parks there are. I never imagined, I meant to say, that there would be so much construction in just 4 years. It's just fabulous. And I think the Prime Minister has a really excellent vision for Ethiopia. But at the same time, I'm sorry to say that I'm disappointed that I feel like Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, was a colony of the British, meaning like in Kenya was a colony of the British, so they write in English. We're not a colony. We've never been colonized. I understand it's to market for foreigners, but one thing foreigners like to see when they go to a country is something they've never seen before, which is the Giz script. Like, they just can't have enough of it. What is this just exotic thing? Like, if you go to China, for example, and Japan, they write, first and foremost, in their language, whatever language it is. And so I think when we put the English language first, we're telling the world ours is inferior. And so we have to succumb to their interest. So I think, language is a question of sovereignty. Like the Japanese people, or even in France, they won't talk to you in English. So I think this is something that we need, in my view, and my humble view, this is something we need to raise consciousness so that people are not going to end up being foreigners in their own country by using a colonizer's language, basically.
All right, on behalf of me, I've already finished my questions, but finally, let me give you a chance if you would like to deliver any message.
The message is, I am so thankful for God that helped Ethiopia. God is always on the side of Ethiopia. Whatever religion, whether it's Muslim or Christian, Ethiopians are God-fearing people. We have gone away from that. And I think we're coming back to it. Our prayer, our supplication to God that, in fact, through all this, Americans were totally getting ready to sanction us. But Ukraine happened. And I really do believe that's from God, a gift given. So it is kind of like it diverted their attention away from us. It's a miracle. Everything that happened is from God. The thing is that what I saw in Deborah Brahan yesterday really disturbed me. As human beings, first and foremost, democracy is the people. It's by the people and for the people. We need to develop bottom up, meaning from bottom. We need to develop the people first, and then make sure they have peace and security so they can live and stably in their own nation, so they will not be displaced, and provide education, security, food, whatever that they need, the necessities basically, and be able to provide them jobs in the future. Those are the things that I think we need to work on, and that's what's in my heart. Other than that, I love Ethiopia, and I look forward to this peaceful and prosper Ethiopia. Just really keeping close attention to our own language and our own sovereignty. Because remember, Ethiopia is a #1 old high culture, more than China, more than anybody else. So let's keep that, and I'm hoping that God will help us overcome the war and the destruction.
All right. Thank you very much, Asqual. Once again, I would like to say welcome. I wish you a blessed stay with your family here in Addis.
Thank you so much for having me at this.
Well, viewers, this concludes our stay with Asqual Teferi, Ethiopian American Civic Council Communication Director. I met her here in Addis, and we've read several topics on current affairs of Ethiopia, as well Ethiopian America, diplomatic relationships, and other topics. I hope you have enjoyed the program. Until I come yet with another topic in the show next time, I am Ugayo, your host. Thank you very much, and stay with other programs of ATV.